Hi, everybody. Welcome back. We are here to talk about the fourth week of December astrology. So we are with Astrology Victoria, and yes.
We just started again.
Okay.
Okay.
What happened?
Okay, let's try it again. And
Okay. Hi, everybody. Welcome back. We are with Astrology Victoria. My name is Dulcie Cardinal, and I'm with my co-host,
Tatiana, Hassan, here to talk about what are we talking about today, Dulcie?
We're here to discuss the fourth week of December. So we have posted videos about the first 3 weeks of December, all separately. We figured kind of shorter chunks would be easier to consume for people. That's kind of how we like to learn about our astrology. This kind of like on a daily basis or a weekly basis. So we're trying that out, and hopefully you guys like it. So yeah.
Love your comments as of how you feel these insights are for you and how it helps you navigate your life a little bit. Remember also that whenever you have any transits in the sky right now, they affect each person's individual chart in a different way. So you do need to know your birth chart to see how it impacts you, what houses the transits are going or impacting, what signs. So it's not a cookie cutter, everybody gets the same reactions. That's why we're very interested in knowing what is being impactful for you with the different transits. So with no further ado, should we just jump into the...
Yeah, let's do it. All right, so here we have week 4 of December.
We come from a month of, lots of like intense, and there's been like this hopefulness, and then at the same time this intensity to the month, and the amping up of the energies as we approach the last week with a lot of social unrest, possible lockdowns, difficulties, maybe protests, like things going on that are just not easy to digest, and at the same time a real big dose of reality, and maybe a window or a path towards your own way to move forward in life. So it's been I feel this is a very transformational month, all in all. It's being, well, not just this month, but this times we're in. So week of December 22nd, we know that we're starting with any prominent thing that is going to start happening. So this is big. The nodal axis will be shifting after 2.5 years, or a little bit, so more or less 2.5 years of being in Sagittarius and Gemini. They're shifting to Taurus and Scorpio. And this is big because we will start feeling the pull of the new things that need to be incorporated and lived through as the nodes shift. So a little bit about the nodes. Well, basically mean nodes and true nodes are just different ways of calculating. But then what are the nodes? We talk about the nodes, but maybe you're new to astrology, you're not so sure what this is. The nodes are those points, as you can see, that cross the earth is considered to be like in the center as we look at the sky. So it's as if the sun were going around the earth, which is not true. But in astrology, from a geocentric perspective, so from the earth, it's as if the sun had this imaginary circle that's called the ecliptic. So that circle around the earth is the ecliptic, and the moon has its own way of going around the earth, and it has a little wobble. So when the moon crosses that imaginary point in the sky, the ecliptic, that's where we point to the south node and the north node. So when the moon is going kind of down in its own orbit, it will point towards the south node. And when it's going back up, it's the north node. So this, as we discussed previously in other videos, represent the evolutionary forces that move you forward into acquiring new experiences versus leaving behind experiences that need to be left behind, so we can keep moving forward and acquiring new experiential whatever, like new energies to explore. And so that's the basic meaning of the nodes. Do you want to add something to the meaning of the nodes before we go into Taurus and Scorpio?
Yeah, it just has to do so with where the sun and the moon would meet in the sky, and that's when we get eclipses. So they'll start blocking each other from the Earth's perspective, and we'll have a set of eclipses. So an eclipse, as Tatiana was saying, was when we have significant kind of karma changes and changes in life trajectory.
That's like when we have eclipses, is exactly when the sun is on that point and the moon as well, or they're in either point.
Mm-hmm.
So those are for the eclipses, and the eclipses that we talked about before in the previous videos point towards those portals that are very important, but just the nodes themselves are just those imaginary points. They're not really real. They're not a planet, they're not a body, they're a mathematical point that's calculated, that indicates that evolutionary path. So that's that. So now, why is it significant that it's changing now? The nodes are going to be changing from the Sagittarius Gemini axis into the Taurus and Scorpio axis. And this is a very different energy. So the North Node will be moving into Taurus, because the nodes traveled also backwards, like mathematically backwards. So it will be pointing towards Taurus. And this is a very different energy from the Gemini energy. So what we've been having for 2.5 years is a bunch of information of all kinds. Perspective, things, information here, information there, like Facebooks and this and that and YouTubes, and too much information. It's almost so much that you don't know what to do with it. And it opens up to perspectives and different perspectives. We've lived through a couple of years with the pandemic of these very separate, different perspectives. And then what is true and what is not, like nobody knows. Everything is a perspective. And Gemini opened all this mental energy. Everything is on the mind. What do we think? What do we think? What do we live? So if I look at something online, it's like information going back and forth. And it's, do I believe this? Do I align with this? It's all the mental. In these shifts, there's going to be more like the energy is going to point us more away from all this mental energy into a more grounded energy, even a slower paced energy. Maybe things are going to slowly crystallize, especially if you've been aligning with what you want to become in the next level of you. There might be a big emphasis in how we actually get our resources, how we actually produce food, stores, how we get our resources. How do you make money? Maybe the whole financial system is going to be shifting as well. And maybe there's going to be new ways of finding value in exchanges. So it might start looking very different as we see that we can be more maybe self-sustaining. There's a lot of emphasis in sustainability and new ways of being self-sustaining. Taurus wants things is the earth, is the body, is sustenance, is food. It's what makes us materially safe. So there's going to be an emphasis in that. Maybe how are people feeling that they can rely on themselves, on their own material safety, maybe in different ways that were not the previous ways, and kind of slowing down into making things more concrete. So that's a lot about this. I mean, we will probably talk more about the nodes as life progresses next year, but this is kind of like what we're seeing coming, this kind of slowdown and condensation of okay, now how do we, are we, planting our own little gardens, having, for instance, I have this friend who has created a food forest in his community, and he's inviting people to go and plant fruit trees. and in the community, and he has been doing this food for us for a while and teaching kids about, you know, how to be in nature, how to plant, and those kind of endeavors are very Taurian in nature, especially how we as communities are going to start getting our foods more and sustainable systems, and, you know, maybe we're going to start seeing food growing everywhere. And so this is part of that invitation of that North Node, is getting more into the Taurus energy. Realistically speaking, we might see lots of shifts in that area. So that was a big rant. So Dulcie, what do you think?
Well, that was just one of the nodes. We also have the South Node that will be shifting into Scorpio. And what's similar about these two signs is the sense of security, kind of putting in the effort to have some sort of sustainability and safety and security for.
Yeah, these are fixed signs.
What's that? Yeah, fixed signs and feminine signs as well. We're shifting from the more masculine to feminine energies. So we'll be shifting the South Node into Scorpio. Yeah, do you want to say anything about Scorpio? That's also a very, very specific kind of energy.
The energies of the Scorpio energies that we have also extensively discussed in this channel talk about like the nature of attachments, of mergers, of the emotional component, of the psychological, emotional, you know, of the themes of death and rebirth, and it's more intense. It's intense. It's the intense experiences of life. It's the shadow. So that's Scorpio. Is this movement, internal movement that it's just raw and pure, and Taurus is kind of this very simple. It's simple. It's literally the polar opposite. It's not dramatic. It's not it's just simple. You know, some might even say it's boring. It's just, you know, like if you observe nature, it seems like it's not moving at all. It's just there, and you watch a tree and you're like, okay, I'm bored. Okay, action please. But the tree, it's alive, and but it's moved slowly. Everything in Taurus is slow. A leaf will grow, but you won't see it grow, but you know it's growing. If you did a time lapse, you would go like, oh my God, this is actually moving. But it just feels so slow. That is the nature of Taurus. It's this beautiful,
Reliable as well.
reliable, like a tree, solid, right? It's solid, is reliable, it's again, it's the food that we grow, is what we eat, is this mother nature, you know, it's the Pachamama, and it's a sign ruled by Venus. Scorpio is ruled by Mars and Pluto, and it's a very it's like the compostable sign. Is where we remove things that no longer need to be there, and it's the composting process. And everything is nature, and if you see, like, things grow, and Taurus is about a little bit of this growth, you know. I feel Taurus is I feel Taurus like a vine, you know, a vine that grows, and it's beautiful, and it's very central. This axis is a lot about the senses and the body, so it has to do with the physical body and the emotional body. It's a lot about the body. So in Scorpio, what we're leaving behind may be tendencies to attachments, to maybe drama, attachments to too much intensity. And we've been living through a lot of intensity. And my thought is that there's a lot of trauma that has come from the pandemic. And that's a very Scorpionic thing. Trauma is a very Scorpionic 8th house Plutonic thing. Is trauma. It's attached to trauma. So I feel now that there's going to be probably a need for healing trauma, and from going to more simple things, like really living more simply, not necessarily giving up comforts and stuff. It's not that, because Taurus is very comfortable, but it's living in a different way, with a different respect for nature, and a different way of communing with nature, and then being more simply connected to nature, and leaving behind all this trauma. So I think it's going to be maybe 2 years where we're going to begin to see maybe lots of natural healing techniques, people treating stuff with essential oils, and we're going to go back to, you know, the natural concoction instead of the chemical drugs or whatever. We might be seeing people coming up with new ways of healing the body that are more natural. It's really connected to nature. So there's going to be an invitation for that. Maybe being more still. Taurus is also about stillness, so a lot of maybe more stillness and groundedness. While the Scorpio is like, and we've been going through very intense times. So I feel this shift might slowly start inviting us to move past all the grudges, intensities, shadow, pain, trauma of the past, of what we could have held, and not only through the pandemic, but maybe through our families or through our lineage, through who knows, right? The Scorpio is always wanting to, maybe now it's a time to look more forward to more simplicity. And that's going to be more and more invited into our lives. Know what's truly valuable to us in the simplest way. What is the minimum we need to survive and live and be okay? That's part of that Taurus energy. And
yeah, the healing through nature kind of energy, being able to explore those deep realms within the psyche and through just simple and natural means.
It doesn't mean that you forget the Scorpionic energy. That's not the South Node. The South Node is what we have to learn. For example, if there's trauma, how can we explore that in more gentle, kinder ways? Maybe treating it with natural things. Like, I don't know, this is a little bit of how I feel about it. And again, financial system might be a little bit shaken as well, because the Taurus Scorpio axis that correspond to the second and the eighth house correspond also to value and money and the money systems. What is us, what we value, what we acquire, Taurus, versus what we share, we give, Scorpio. So this axis is going to be a little bit kind of made in focus. So there might be radical shifts in the financial system. How? I don't know. Is it through, maybe there's going to be cryptocurrencies on one side, but then on the other side, there might be like local communities having their own little local exchange, monies, or they might even have like bartering might come back, I do this, you do that, like this kind of village feel might come back in a lot of communities, which I think that's a beautiful thing, being more reliant within your small communities and like, oh, I grew apples. What did you grow? Oh, you grew lettuce. Let's exchange. So there might be things like that might also pop, but it could be done in a very technological way. It could be done through an app, right? I even know a guy here in Vancouver Island who created, it's a group who created an app called Revillager. And it's literally that. Is how in a global village in the world we find like-minded people to barter with and exchange services. So you see, there's going to be all these things coming up that change the way we exchange, change the way we get our resources. So maybe it's no longer about one entity of control of the money and then the money system. Maybe the money is going to be more decentralized and it's going to be maybe different. So we might start seeing these changes. So these are just things that come to mind.
And wherever this is happening in your chart will also kind of add that sort of new flavor to it, whatever topic the houses are.
Yeah, you will be having a nodal return if wherever this falls in your chart. If you have a Taurus natal north node, it means you will have a nodal return. So it's almost like a boost, an evolutionary boost for you to look in the direction of that house that the north node is in and go more in that direction, acquire more of that energy. Yeah. So that was that long discussion about the nodes.
Let's move on. Okay, and on December 28th, we have Jupiter entering Pisces, which a lot of people I know have been looking forward to, and kind of, I don't know if, I'm sure many people remember Jupiter and Sagittarius and the energy that we experienced during that. It felt quite hopeful, and Jupiter rules Sagittarius and Jupiter also rules Pisces. It felt quite a positive, the sky's the limit, I have all these options, what can I explore today? That kind of energy was all around. And then Jupiter went into Capricorn and we had the pandemic. Jupiter was trying to do some good, but it's much harder for Jupiter in Capricorn. And then into Aquarius, which was interesting. It's still a Saturn ruled sign, but it's not as heavy and dense as Capricorn is, an earth sign. So I didn't feel that kind of heaviness as much anymore once it entered Aquarius. It felt more kind of I don't know, like socially connected. It was easier to kind of connect with others. We got used to connecting with each other online.
It
And
promotes the expansion of things like Zoom. Whereas before it was like, I'll never use that. And now everybody uses Zoom, and it's like this expansive connectedness through technology. That's something that Jupiter actually brought.
mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's in an air sign. It's all about how we interact with each other. But at the same time, it's still Saturn ruled. So there is still a kind of that limiting quality of Saturn, that kind of realistic quality of Saturn. Whereas in Pisces is unlimited again. Like there is no limit to Pisces. It just, everything intermingles with everything and it expands forever, as does Jupiter. And Jupiter is quite happy in Pisces to just be itself. So whenever Jupiter is comfortable and happy, we can see that in our own environments as well.
Yeah, as you say, like when Jupiter enters Pisces, like for me, the last time that Jupiter kind of entered a little bit in Pisces back in May, and it stayed there for like a little bit, that was the little glimpse. I kind of, Pisces rules my fourth house, so like I literally moved to a bigger space, fourth house, and there was like across the water, like it's a very Piscean expression. So depending on where this falls in your chart, and Jupiter will be in Pisces for like, I think until March, if I'm not mistaken. I don't have the dates quite there, but it's going to be here for like a couple months. And they can bring a lot of spiritual expansion and connection. That's one way to see it. It can bring unlimited capacity to dream, like dream big and almost dissolve into another realm. And it feels hopeful. It feels like, and again, we're still working with the energies of the square to Saturn Uranus. So if you didn't see our previous video of the previous week, we're still dealing with the very hard energy of discontent and social unrest and oppression, and then freedom, and then protests, and we're still dealing with all of that. And then when Jupiter enters Pisces, there's like a big push of hope, and I would say spiritual hope, especially for people that are really connected to their essence and their spirits. That's why meditation, going inward, like is very good, because this will give you a sense of what is possible, and everything is possible. So the sky's the limit, literally, with Jupiter in Pisces, like beyond the sky. And it's a hopeful energy. However, it can also be an energy that dissolves everything so much that you might even not even want to be on Earth anymore. It's that kind of like it lifts you up elsewhere. So that's a possibility too, where it's just everything's way too perfect. So it's important to keep your feet down on the ground. Good thing that we are in Capricorn season still. So that will probably bring a lot of hope to what we're actually grounding. So it's good that this transit is happening as Jupiter enters Pisces. And then Jupiter at some point will be conjunct Neptune, and that's going to be a triple whammy of this energy. So if you're going to feel the Jupiter in Pisces ingress as like already some kind of spiritualization, hope, dreams, bigger dreams, the beyond of the beyond, wait until it conjuncts Neptune in Pisces. So good time to look behind the veil and connect to higher self, higher purpose, and stay grounded so that you can build this new world. I do feel that for me, and this is my belief, there's literally this new earth being birthed. And we decide how to birth it and what we want to see in the world after all that we have actually seen with this whole pandemic. This is almost an invitation to see that there are different ways of living as humanity, still very connected. And because Pisces is the sign that dissolves everything, where everything is really one. That is Pisces, the energy of oneness, of absolute oneness with source, with creator, with creation, with one another. So Jupiter there will expand the sensation that maybe we are, after all one. So maybe, hopefully, this whole separation and division and polarity will start changing, and we will start becoming more aware of the compassionate nature that we have when we see ourselves in the other. And hopefully this is the new world we're going to start birthing. Those are my hopes. But and with Jupiter there might be a lot of this energy. So anything to add aside of that, Dulcie, for this ingress?
Just that Pisces is a water sign. It's a double-bodied sign, meaning what's the other term for double-bodied? I'm blanking. Not fixed, not cardinal. Mutable. Thank you. It's a mutable sign. It's all about things that kind of flow from here to there. It's not a rigid kind of structured energy. It's all about the imagination and compassion and empathy and creativity and being a bit more laid back, I would say. So it's an interesting energy to look forward to, especially with Jupiter there. So yeah.
All right.
Okay.
This wraps up our month of December.
No, it doesn't.
Oh, it does.
It doesn't. You wish. Wouldn't that be nice? That's a good way to wrap it up, isn't it?
Just wanted to say
Jupiter and Pisces. That's it. That's the end. That's all we got.
That's the ultimate. No, so we do have December 29th. Yeah, of course, like back to Capricorn energy. Yeah, we have a lot of Capricorn energy. And we have that triple conjunction of Mercury, Venus, and Pluto, and it's sextile.
Yeah, so Tatiana, you wanted to read from Ren Butler's book because he has an excellent book with combinations of planets. And not only is it just 2 planets, he has 3 planet combinations. So on that note.
An amazing book by Ren Butler, who happens to be our teacher as well. We have studied under Ren, and he is pretty amazing. And this is just a great way to put it. This Pluto, Venus. I lost it. No.
Let me just, just for anybody listening. So we're on December 29th. We're discussing the Mercury conjunct Pluto, Venus, Pluto. So all 3 of those planets combined.
All in Capricorn. And this combination of these 3 planets can be, and like everything, the energy can go in its positive expression or its shadow expression. So I'm going to read both. On its positive expression, it's a graceful and persuasive way of speaking, a love of deep and profound ideas, an appreciation of mystery, detective, or underworld themes in the arts, penetrating insight into relationship issues, So at the very best, for example, if you're having, this is the perfect energy to address an elephant in the room. So you have a big elephant in the room in your relationships, and there's this very intense thing going on. It's great to talk about it. Mercury, to talk about it, to weed it out, to understand it, to go into the depths of the depths of the depths of the relationship. Great for couples therapy. This is the time you want to go to couples therapy if you're having trouble with your partners, because the energy is supported, because it's there to be weeded out, to be explored, to be seen, you know. So very, very intense energy. On the flip side, this energy, if you're not really like conscious of how you're using it, it could be a habit of obsessive friendliness to avoid darker issues, trivial banter with a loaded undercurrent, urges to use beauty or intelligence to manipulate others. So this is how Mercury then, instead of going and seeing the potential for transformation in a relationship with anything, then it can go into kind of the opposite, this kind of avoidance, but manipulative tendencies, right? That's Pluto, Mercury, manipulative tendencies, using charm with Venus to get what you want and its power. You know, it's in the sign of Capricorn. So be aware that you're not using charm and something like that to get something that is self-serving, you know. That could be that to get you to move you forward, use manipulation. So that could be one expression of the energy. The other expression of the energy is to be very raw and authentic about what's not working and how to move forward with something by talking about it very, very deeply and very seriously. Again, Mercury in Capricorn is also serious. It's very straight to the point and very practical and pragmatic about things. So maybe it's a time also to make a plan. It's probably also a time to set really big goals and make a big plan, you know, and think about it and do a plan. And so these are all options, right, for this energy. The energy is very grounded, is very particular, is very specific. And it also goes into seeing the what's not working with Pluto, what needs to be, you know, what needs to be transformed, maybe very darker things as well to be exploring. So that's a little bit of that. And with that conjunction, it's going to be very interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, watching out for that manipulation or the you know, persuasive tendencies, because it is possible to kind of fall for that from others in this, under this transit. The persuasion is very believable, or you want to believe it. You're not really wanting to see the whole picture or see things clearly. You're kind of comfortable with the way things are, or you're not ready to kind of dive into that yet. So it's possible to kind of brush things over under the rug and you know, put it off to later. But this is definitely a good time to spend that time and address it, at least recognize that it's there, and then, like you said, make that plan to work through it later when you're both ready. Yeah, just getting everything out in the open, having those frank conversations, recognizing any kind of unhealthy dynamics within a relationship, whether they be vastly significant or just minor. It's important to just verbalize it in a kind way, of course, and get it all out there and understand where the other person is coming from, and be able to say your perspective on it. It's definitely, progress can come from things being out in the open.
You know what this energy also reminds me of? This just popped into my mind, you know, like, for example, someone that is going for an audition and they really want the job, and they'll go and you know, seduce the director in order to get the job, and then they'll just, you know, do whatever it takes, and they'll just do it, and you know, and then they get the actual job, you know, over other people, even if they're not talented, you know, using their like manipulative skills. That's like very classic of this energy.
Right, yeah, totally.
So beware if that's you or if that's happening to you, of your, it's that's like a little bit more of the shadow side of this energy. But that's why it's important with this kind of energy to make sure we're always staying in also in integrity. So it's better to go the integrity route and the like, no, let's look at this. Why is this coming? Rather.
And we're about to start a whole new year with January just around the corner. So this is a good time to kind of reset a little bit and have clear goals for the next year to come.
Oh, absolutely. Great time for intention setting, especially with that Jupiter ingress in Pisces. It's like a very new energy.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah, we do have this like Mars sextile Saturn as well, which, promotes, consorted action, like action that it's, I don't know if that's the word. Did I say like something that's like constant?
Concerted action. Yeah. Consistent. Yeah.
Consistent action, like, this is a sextile, so it's not Mars like in full force, but it's like action towards creating. Again, we're still with this Saturn in Aquarius, trying to create systems, social systems and structures that work, hopefully for everybody, though. So that also helps. And for yourself as an individual, again, this is like, what are you putting your energy towards to create those structures? And we've been talking about these structures that you're creating for your life for already like a couple months. So this is still active. It's not like all the energy just stopped being. It's more like it's adding on layers. So yeah, that's it. Now this is the end of the month.
It really isn't. It really isn't.
Yeah.
We have one more day, December 31st.
Yeah. I'm trying to.
Tatiana's ready to wrap it up. That's good. We've done the whole month. It's over. Ready for January 2022. Let's go, guys.
Fun training Uranus. This is like final feeling of actual liberation.
I know. This is great. This is the last day of the year. This is New Year's Eve. We are ready. This is a great transit for this day.
I know, because this is an actual feeling, or it might feel like a true moment of liberation, or finally that you find something that's much bigger beyond. And combined with those Jupiter in Pisces, this seems like hallelujah, hallelujah. How it feels like. That's it. It feels like there's finally some kind of like hope and freedom is like finally, it's the last day of your shackles. It kind of feels like that, when it feels like that. Whether or not it's going to be that, I don't know. But
it's got that excitement energy to it, and mixing the Sun and Uranus, we're able to express our individuality confidently. Yeah, I think New Year's could be pretty fun. Whether we're on lockdown or not, I think we can make a good time of it.
Oh, absolutely. Or at least the feeling that something in
we're going somewhere.
With Uranus also is an internal sense of freedom.
I like that.
You recognize that freedom is not something that somebody gives you. It's something that you own by being a spirit, a limitless spirit. These bodies are just bodies, are just a vessel, but your spirit, your soul is eternal, is boundless. And that with that Jupiter in Pisces, a lot of people might have this final like awakening of noticing like, oh my gosh, I am not my body. I am actually a limitless soul that kind of inhabits this body temporarily, and then therefore I really am boundless. So there might be a sense of awakening that's going to start permeating in different areas of life and for different people at different levels. This is at least how I feel it. This energy has that potential. And once that happens, then yeah, even if you're in lockdown, the freedom doesn't come from somebody telling you. It's you. You are free because you are you. You're limitless. And then you can start shifting reality just by the way you think about reality, and this is probably the biggest maybe realization that people might start having. So if this is you in this week, please leave us a comment. If you're having these feelings that are coming through, like this awakening feeling, this like, oh my gosh, please let us know, because this is kind of a very hopeful energy.
Yeah, we want to feel it with you. Whatever we're feeling, we want to experience it with other people too.
So then finally, this is how the month is wrapped.
We made it.
I don't know.
That's a good note to end on, I think. Look at that. That's the end of the slideshow.
And here we are. Please feel free to like, subscribe, share if this has been inspirational to you, if this is helping you in your path and you like our content. Please feel free to make it more available for others. That helps people spread knowledge about astrology, and check out all our offerings as well. We have all the links below for Astrology Victoria, where you can find us, or if you want readings for your birth chart, we are also available for that. And so you can check out our offerings. That's that. And have a wonderful end of year and a happy new year full of hope, love, blessings, amazing possibilities.
All right. Thanks everybody for tuning in. We will see you again for January. All right. Thanks guys. Thanks Tatiana. Bye.